Alright, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today's reading is just a real simple, what do you need to hear right now? From your spirit guides, from the universe, from your ancestors, from whatever source, what do you need to hear right now, wherever you're at? And I'm gonna be honest, this is the first time I'm filming a video in like the past 3 weeks. I took a very long break. It might not seem like it from my video post schedule, because I did schedule a bunch of videos ahead of time to post while I was away, but I was on vacation in the Philippines for like 2 weeks, and before that I was starting to slow down on videos a little bit, so this is my first time in a long time actually being back in the routine, back in the saddle, and I'm really excited. I love to do what I do. I'm really excited to read for you today, but I'm a little bit rusty, so if it seems that way, that's why. But I'm really excited to get into it. So today I have 3 different readings for us to go through today. For pile 1, I have the clear quartz. For pile 2, I have a rainbow moonstone. I actually thought it was just called moonstone, but apparently if you hold it up to the light, you can see like the light refract a little bit and you see the colors, so that's pretty cool. And then for pile 3, we have the angelite. So go ahead and pause, figure out which reading you feel most drawn to. I'll leave timestamps down in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, pile 1. If you chose the clear quartz, then this is the reading for you. And like I said at the beginning, this is my first time making a video in like 3 weeks, so if I sound a little bit rusty, give me some space because I'm getting back into the saddle, getting back into the rhythm of things. But I'm really excited to do your reading. And honestly, looking at the cards right away, this is something that I personally have gone through time and time again, and it's one of those things where like, no matter how many times you learn this lesson, it seems to be the kind of thing that you just forget, or you get so overburdened with work, or you get like, you're too busy in the moment that you forget, like, you need to come out of it. You need to relearn this lesson. And basically, the lesson is very simple, but it's really easy to forget. And the lesson is all about being a workaholic. And I think that you are somebody who, what you want to do in life, what you're passionate about, and what you want to pursue as a career is also some sort of creative passion for you. And the tricky part, as somebody who is a creative myself, like I fully understand what I'm about to tell you today. So as a creative myself, I understand that it's a very delicate balance you have to be in, where you're trying to maintain motivation and creativity and inspiration while also sticking to a schedule of some kind and trying to make things happen in a career sense. And these two things can kind of be completely opposed, because on one hand you have this very feminine energy of like being receptive to creative energies, being very sensitive to when inspiration strikes, but then you also have this like overtly masculine energy of need to take action, need to maintain a schedule, need to stay disciplined. And sometimes those things can be so at odds that when you try to maintain both and it's hard to have a balance, you end up feeling super drained, and it can become really easy to hit burnout, especially if you're a creative who's trying to make things happen in your career while also doing something creative. It's a very difficult balance to maintain. And sometimes we can lose sight of why we started this in the first place. What made you fall in love with this thing? What do you love about creativity? What do you love about this path that you're on? Because what I see for you is what you need to hear right now is you need to get back to feeling that lust for life, feeling that passion, really feeling that love again. I think you've been putting so much stress on yourself to be creative, keep coming up with new ideas, keep going, keep working hard, keep sticking to the schedule. And if anything, it's pushing that creativity further away. And you might be asking yourself, like, where has my creativity gone? Am I no longer an artist? Am I no longer a writer? Can I no longer continue to pursue this thing? Can I no longer create? And I want to tell you, this is extremely common. Like, it almost makes you want to laugh, because I guarantee you, every single creative who has ever tried to be an entrepreneur or pursue creativity full-time as like a job, they have gone through this before, and we're all like laughing in unison, because we've all had this moment where we're like, where is my creativity going? Why don't I feel inspiration? Is this no longer the path for me, or am I just falling out of love with this thing? Is this the end of the road? It's not. You're just about to hit burnout, because you've started prioritizing schedule and discipline and churning out work so fast that you're not giving time for your cup to fill back up. And I recently, it was like maybe a month ago or so, I went through this where I was almost imagining my creativity and my motivation as like a well that slowly fills up over time. Like, it's never gonna run dry. It'll always be there. And as a creative, if you don't create for a really long time, you have this overabundance of energy. You're like, I just need to get it out of me. And that's the well refilling. If you don't take from it, it's gonna overflow. And it's like you need to have some sort of outlet for it. But if you take too much, you're taking too frequently. It got to the point where I was almost imagining like I was waiting until there was just enough creativity or motivation, and then I would scoop it out, and then I would have nothing left. It would be completely dry. And I'd be sitting there waiting until there was just enough for another bucket, another bucket, another bucket. And to the point where my baseline was just dry. My baseline was tired. Instead, I had to take a look at my schedule, and I said, as much as I love the idea of calling myself a hard worker, and I love that I'm very disciplined, I also need to realize that what my creativity needs right now is to learn how to take a break, is to learn how to ease up on my schedule. And that was really hard from a place of ego, because your ego loves being able to call yourself a hard worker. That might be your identity. It's like, I'm a hard worker, I'm a creative, I'm super disciplined, I stick to my schedules, I'm a super hard worker. But when your body kind of knocks you down and is like, we need to slow down, you might almost feel like you're betraying it. You might think like, oh, if I start taking a break, if I'm slowing down, I'm lazy, or I'm not disciplined, or I'm not committed to this path. And what I want to tell you is, you are committed. Going against your ego and things that make you feel scared, and slowing down when every fiber of your being is saying, we got to keep going, we need to keep firing on all cylinders. Prioritizing your health is actually what that hard work looks like. Hard work isn't always running ourselves into the ground. Sometimes hard work is knowing when to take a break. And this almost reminds me of like poker, because I'm super into poker. It's like one of my favorite hobbies. Something I often hear, and something that I'm trying to personally learn myself, is what differentiates an amateur player from a pro is knowing when to fold a good hand. And what that means is, like, even if you think you have the best hand, sometimes what's on the board just doesn't turn out to work with your hand, and somebody else could have something really good. And you need to know, as much as I'm committed to this, I need to know when to quit. I need to know when to lay it down. And that is what's going to differentiate you between an amateur creative versus somebody who's actually in it to win it. Are you able to take breaks when you need it? Are you able to prioritize yourself? Are you able to turn away from that ego that's like, we need to keep going, we need to keep pushing, and say, you know what? I need to take a break. And taking this break, and it doesn't need to look like taking a hiatus from whatever you're doing. I think you still can create, but I think you need to know, you need to create time in between to prioritize yourself, prioritize relationships, prioritize getting outside, getting fresh air, grounding, self-care, whatever that looks like. It could mean having fun, you know? There's this analogy that I use in a lot of readings just like this one, where imagine that you're a writer, right? And you want to pursue writing as a career, and you keep telling yourself, like, I just need to get through this chapter, I need to finish a chapter a day, and you're sitting there on chapter 12, and you've hit writer's block, and you're exhausted, and you're telling yourself, like, I just need to keep going, I just need to keep going. And then your friend calls you up and is like, hey, do you want to go play outside? Do you want to go have some fun in the sun with me? And you tell them, like, no, I need to prioritize my work, I don't have any time for breaks. And so you sit there in your dark little room trying to force your brain to come up with what to write next. Whereas maybe if you had said yes, if you had taken a little bit of break, taken your mind off of writing, went out, had some fun, felt energized, raised your vibe, you might have come back to that drawing board and you would have been like, oh man, all my creative spark is back because I actually raised my vibe. I had some fun. I remembered what it's like to feel joy again. And because of that, I have so much energy to create. And I feel like that's what you're missing, is when you've been putting your nose to the grindstone for so long, you forget what it's like to be human. You just need to remember what it's like to have fun again. You need to remember to take care of yourself. You are not a machine. You're not a workhorse. You're not meant to just push and push and push. You need to have time in between, Maybe, and this is different for everybody, some people, maybe what you need is to take a week or a month off to go vacation and fully take your mind and body out of the work zone, fully relax. And maybe that's what you want. Maybe that's what you need, you as a person. For other people, maybe what you need is for an hour out of the day, midday or, whenever, that's a break time to just take a midday nap. Maybe you're the kind of person that needs a midday nap, but because you've been so dedicated to your work, you haven't allowed yourself to do that. For others, or, something I've done in the past is I say, after 8 p.m. or after 9 p.m., I am no longer allowed to feel stress. And you might think, like, that's crazy. How do you just not feel stress? And what I would do is, if I was laying in bed and my mind is telling me all these things I need to get done or showing me all these worries and fears, I would say to myself, no, I'm gonna deal with that tomorrow. We can think about that in the morning after we've woken up, but right now is my time to rest. Setting those work-life boundaries, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're self-employed, you don't really have normal hours of clocking in and out. You don't have normal work-life boundaries because maybe you work out of your home. Maybe you even work in bed in your own bedroom. I think something that could really help you is learning to draw those lines. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's a specific time where you say, at this time, work ends. I don't even let myself think about it. I turn those apps off on my phone. I'm not even looking at emails. I'm not even thinking about emails. Or maybe it's physically differentiating areas of your home. If you have multiple rooms in your home, you say, okay, this room is for work. When I'm outside that room, there's no thoughts about work. And it'll take time for your brain and body to get used to this, but over time, setting those boundaries is what's going to make you have a much healthier work-life balance, and all of this is going to contribute to you feeling more of that creative flow, where I feel like you've lost it and you're scared. Honestly, this whole time, I've just been rattling off not looking at your cards because I already know what the entire reading is talking about, but I want to get into the details here a little bit. So starting off, you have the Hunger card, clarified by the Lovers reversed. And when I look at these two cards, what it shows me is you still have this strong, extremely strong hunger and drive to accomplish your goals. Like, you are set on this thing. You are dedicated. I feel like you are the kind of person that you really set your mind on, this is my plan A. This is what I want to do with my life. Something that's coming to mind right now is Chappell Roan. I don't know if you know who that is. Love her music. She's this artist that really blew up in an extremely fast time. Like, she quite literally was an overnight success. But it's not like she just started yesterday. Like, I recently saw what her life story looked like, and it was something like she's been writing songs since she was a teenager. I don't know how old she is right now. She might be like mid-20s, but something like she dropped out of school. She completely devoted herself to this. She worked extremely hard day and night, working other jobs so that she could make music. And, she actually finally got signed to a label. She made an EP, and then they dropped her. And can you imagine how heartbreaking that is? Imagine if you're like a writer and you finally get published and then they drop you. And you're like, I thought this would finally be my lucky break. But instead of giving up, she continued to write music. She continued to create. And years later, finally this year, she's now like one of the world's biggest superstars. And like, it might not seem like that now, but trust me, in a few years, you're going to know her name. Because if you look up the size of her crowds, like, she is drawing more people than can fit in a stadium. Like, it's insane. And seeing that kind of story, I feel like if you have a passion for something, whether it's music, writing, creation, photography, if you have that passion and you are set on it, you are dedicated to the point that quitting is not an option, you are meant to pursue this thing and you will reach success. But the thing about creativity is there's an ebb and a flow to these kinds of things. We need to flow in tune with that creative energy. And sometimes it leaves us. Sometimes we feel like the last thing in the world I want to do right now is pick up that pen or pick up that camera. That's the last thing I want to do right now. And that's okay. I feel like we get so set on, I need to be dedicated. Even when I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it. But the thing about creativity is that's not necessarily going to help you accomplish things. If anything, that might set you back a little bit. And it's a hard lesson to learn because we want to be hard workers. We want We want to push ourselves in the way that somebody working a traditional 9 to 5 can push themselves, but sometimes that's just not true. Sometimes the best thing that we can do for ourselves, sometimes the hard work looks like taking a break. And I see that you still have this hunger and drive, but with the lovers reversed, it's almost like you're lacking passion. And I feel like this is causing a big fear in you because you're like, I have loved this thing my entire life. It's like, imagine Chapel Roan. Imagine if she suddenly started hating making music. And she's like, but this is what I've worked towards my entire life. This is what I've loved. I think the truth is, it's not that she would hate music. It's that she hates pushing herself to burnout over and over again when her creative well is empty. And that's you. It's not that you're falling out of love with this thing. It's that your body is tired. And it doesn't mean you need to give up. It means we need to start looking at, okay, how can I have more balance? Can I start having a nap in the middle of the day? Can I give myself an extra hour of sleep or 2? Can I give myself a vacation here and there? Can I start giving myself my weekends back? What can I do to give myself that energy back so that my creative energy can come back? And that's what you need. That hunger, that passion, that drive, it's not leaving you. Your body is just tired. So if you've been having fears over that, I want you to just take a deep breath. You're not broken. You're not losing your passion and lust for life. You still are dedicated to this path. Sometimes dedication looks like taking a break, and it might seem so different. Like, how can dedication mean taking a break? That looks lazy. That looks like the opposite of dedication. But I want to tell you, there's nothing more that shows more dedication than being able to take a break when every fiber of your being is telling you not to. And so with creativity and the 2 of Pentacles here in the middle, I feel like it's quite literally showing me, I feel like I'm looking at this person who, you look at the 2 of Pentacles and the sky's weighing these 2 coins back and forth. And I'm literally imagining in my mind somebody sitting on the street, and I'm imagining 2 pennies, 1 cent each. You're holding these up, and these are representing your creativity. And I feel like in the past, your creativity has been like a bank vault full of $100 bills, and you've had so much, and you had so much that you want to create, and now you're just sitting on the side of the street, and all you have are these 2 pennies. You're like, man, I still gotta create something. Let me just hand over one of my last 2 pennies. And it's like, no, you need time for that to regrow. You need time for that well to fill back up. And I'm not talking about actual money here. What I'm talking about is more metaphorical, the amount of creative energy that you have. I think you just need to give yourself time to regrow that energy, regrow that money a little, because you're working with scraps here. And I want to ask you, how good do you think that your work is going to be? Do you honestly think you're going to put out a good book or a good project or a good video if you're waiting until you have just these measly little scraps to give? I mean, that's going to show through to your audience. Man, they sound really tired, or they don't seem as into it today, And people are going to wonder, where's that passion? Where's that spark? Where's that thing that I came to see? People can feel those vibes through the screen or through what they're reading. And if you have very little to give, don't give it. Hold on to it. Allow yourself to regrow. Allow yourself to rest and rejuvenate. Because, for me, for instance, a lot of what I do in these videos is yapping. It's an outlet for me to talk and get that energy that's in me out of me. But if I did this, which I used to in the past, this is going to sound crazy, but I used to do something like 2 or 3 videos per day, and then I would make 8 YouTube shorts on top of that, and then after I was done filming everything, which took a few hours, I would then schedule everything to have multiple posts per day, and it just wasn't sustainable. And not only was it not sustainable energy-wise, but my voice would be physically hoarse, and I would feel like I'm not giving the best version of myself to the audience. I'm not giving the best version of myself to the people that want to see what I'm putting out. And so if I'm not giving the best version of myself, I'm not giving the best version of my content, who's going to want to click on that? Who's going to want to watch that if what they're hearing is a lack of passion or devoid of energy? People are going to feel that, and they're going to be like, ugh, but So not only are you giving back to yourself, giving energy back to yourself, you're also giving back to the work that you want to put out. You're giving back to that, what is this product that you're putting out there? Is it good or is it great? And it can be great, but for it to be great, you got to be good first. You got to take care of yourself. And finally, with sweetness and the world reversed, what I see here is I feel like you're really tired because you haven't hit this certain milestone or this certain number of followers or a certain, I don't know, like a certain level of recognition. And because of that, I feel like you're just getting tired. You've been on this path for so long. You're like, when is it going to happen? What if it's never going to happen? Maybe I should just give up. And it feels like the light at the end of the tunnel is so far away. Or maybe it feels like sometimes you can't see it altogether. And I want to tell you, you are not meant to give up on this path. And this reading is not going to predict when that's going to happen. In fact, I don't really believe in timing predictions for general readings because it's different for every single one of you, you know? What I will say is this is not the end of the road for you. I'm imagining let's go with the light at the end of the tunnel, for example. Let's say you're right smack dab in the middle of this tunnel and you can't see the light at the end. You can't even see the light at the beginning. All there is darkness, and you feel like it's gonna go on forever and you just want to sit down and give up. And I want to tell you, if you sit down now, you're never gonna make it to the end of the tunnel. But the path is still there for you. There is still more to come. There's still more lessons. There's still more to accomplish. And for all you know, there's actually a corner and the light at the end of the tunnel is way closer. And it just looks like you can't see anything, but it's because you need to make a few turns first. I promise you, the end is still waiting there for you. You will reach the success you're looking for. You will reach that recognition or whatever your goal is. But in the meantime, what this sweetness card is trying to tell me or tell you, you need to have love and happiness and fun back in your life. Like, I'm imagining you're in the middle of the tunnel, right? And you're exhausted and you need to sit down. Okay, good. Sit down. Give your legs a rest. Give your feet a rest. Put them up. Maybe sing a song. Read a book. Have a good time. Like, that'll give you the energy to keep moving. Sometimes trudging along and continuing to push ourselves when we're exhausted is not the answer. And what you need right now? Remember what your hobbies are. What did you love to do? You like to play video games? Do you like to read? Do you like to hang out with friends? Do you like to go clubbing? Do you like to go camping? Do you want to go to a wilderness retreat where you don't talk to anybody for like 5 days? Go do that. What will make you happy right now? Focus instead on yourself. When's the last time you took that undivided attention and just put it on, how can I take care of myself, and just focus on having fun? If having fun was your only goal, what would you do today? Like, truly, just think about that. And you might be like, well, I have no idea. That should be a sign that you're not doing something right. Like, if you don't know how to be a human, if you don't know how to have fun and you don't know how to live, something's going wrong. No wonder you don't feel creative. No wonder you don't feel like you're having a good time. No wonder you don't have the energy to keep going. How are you going to have the energy to keep going if you're not having a good time? You need to enjoy the path. But to enjoy the path, you need to remember you're a human being that has needs. Gotta take care of them. There's no shame in that. So, pile one, I feel like I just ranted at you for a really long time, but I feel like this is what you needed to hear. Sometimes this is what I need to hear too, and I'm going to tell you this. You might need to hear it over and over again, and there's no shame in that, because as creatives, especially if you're trying to do something creative for a career, it's so easy to just get lost in like putting your nose to the grindstone and chugging on that you forget these simple things like, oh, I am a human, I need to take care of myself, or I can't just be a workhorse. And it's okay if you need to relearn this over and over again, but eventually it'll sink in and you will finally feel balanced, you'll finally feel grounded, and when you're in that flow, things move forward so quickly. But it's okay if you need to learn it a couple times over. It's okay if things feel rocky for a little bit. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be ups and downs. But that's just how the path is. So, pile one, that is where I'll leave you. I truly wish you the best of luck on your path. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Alright, pile two. If you chose the Rainbow Moonstone, then this is the reading for you. And looking at your cards, like, I feel like I just need to give you a hug. Like, I feel like you've been through it and you're holding so much pain in your body. Like, truly, this is going to be a specific reading. I think that this is for people that have been through a breakup of some kind, or a betrayal, or an abandonment of some kind, especially recently. And I'm physically feeling like tightness in my shoulders and my neck. And I feel like you have just been sobbing, like shoulders shaking, like racked with sobs. And maybe you haven't cried yet, but I feel like it's just this dam within you that's about to burst. Like, I feel like if you could see me, like, I have my arms crossed across my chest and I'm just holding my shoulders. And first of all, I'm gonna say, emotions, it'll take time to heal. But something that's gonna help you is focusing on physically relaxing your body. Now, I'm going to get into your reading in a second here, but just off the way that my body is reacting, I want to tell you, take a bath, soak in hot water, drink warm tea, bundle up, focus on, like, I want you to look at your wardrobe and ask yourself, what is the most comfortable thing in your wardrobe? What are the fuzziest socks? If you don't have fuzzy socks, go out and buy yourself some. Go out and buy yourself that coffee or that icy or whatever it is that you're craving. Give yourself comfort. I feel like the biggest thing that you need right now is comfort and relaxation, because, emotions, the soul, heartbreak is one thing. That's going to take a lot of time to heal. It's going to take a lot of talking, a lot of crying, but something that you can do right now that is going to help a ton is fully relaxing. I feel such a tightness in my back and shoulders, and like even my stomach, like I almost feel a little bit nauseous. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't been in many relationships, but each time I went through a breakup, especially the breakups where like I was cheated on or they like left me for somebody else, I couldn't eat for months after, because just the thought of thinking about them, anytime I thought about them, I was so nauseous. And it got to this point where I Pavloved myself into, like, every time I went to eat, I just felt nauseous. And I feel like that's what you're going through right now. And I want to tell you that heartbreak is going to take a long time to heal, but taking care of your body is what needs your attention right now. Because that's all you have control over. You don't have control over when the tears are going to come. You don't have control over the nausea. You don't have control over what they're going to say or do or what the future holds. But you do have control over how you treat your body as it's going through this. Because it's not just your mind that's going through this pain. Your body's feeling it too. Your body is like, why are we under attack right now? What's going on? All these stress levels. Why am I crying so much? Why am I exhausted? Why do I feel so tense all the time? I think if you have the funds to do so, actually, I was going to say have a massage, but sometimes when you're in a massage, like, you're just left alone with your thoughts, and it might be awkward when you start crying and the masseuse is like, oh my God, what am I doing? So maybe not a massage, but if you can, I think something that's going to help you a lot right now is being in water. If you can swim in the ocean, or if you have a hot tub at your disposal, being in warmth and being in water, being in a warm shower, being in a warm bathtub, would really cleanse you right now. I also want to say, I'm not super into like witchcraft, but I do believe in a lot of different spiritual practices, and putting some salt in your bath, even if it's just like bath salts that you buy, would be really cleansing to your body and your soul right now. And just sitting and soaking in that. I think specifically rose petals are coming to mind. Like, if you sprinkled rose petals or some rose essential oil in that bath, if you have some candles, these are all going to help to relax you, and they're also going to cleanse you. I think also spraying some lavender, flower petals are really coming to mind right now. Like, if you can spray some lavender spray to help you get sleep, spray it on your pillows or your bed sheets. Not overpoweringly so, but just enough to be there to comfort you. Especially if this is somebody that you were in a relationship with where you slept in the same bed together often, and now you're having trouble sleeping on your own. Any kind of level of comfort that you can give yourself is helping you fill what feels like a void. And so, like I said, fuzzy socks, fuzzy robe, fuzzy slippers, warm, soft pants. Specifically coming to mind is, like, you know how yoga pants can feel like a hug, or like compression socks? A weighted blanket. Ooh, a weighted blanket would really help you out right now. These are all things that are coming to mind. I truly think that they could help you. Focus on comfort in your home, in your bedroom. Focus on cleansing. Focus on relaxing. It's all gonna take a huge weight off you, because right now it feels like there's a comically large weight on your chest, and it's just like weighing you down. Anything that you can do to get that off of you, to help you relax a little bit, is going to help a ton. So just take a deep breath, relax with me a little bit, because that's a lot. I'm feeling a lot of tension from you. And let's go ahead and get into your cards. So what I'm seeing here, first of all, it's almost funny to me. It's not going to be funny to you, but it's funny to me. So we'll get into why it's funny now. Those are the last few cards. But the first few cards that I have here are Reflection and the Queen of Pentacles. And this, I feel like this is a message directly from your spirit guides saying, first of all, there's a sassy one that's like, stand the fuck up, like, remember who you are. But like in a loving sense, it's like, remember what a bad bitch that you are. You know, bitch being a term of endearment, male or female, doesn't matter. I truly get the sense that you are an amazing human being. I think you're extremely emotionally intelligent. I think you're very spiritually intelligent. I think that you are somebody who's extremely deserving of love, and you have so much love to give. And I feel like in this breakup, this person didn't recognize what they had, and they're losing out. Like, they're truly missing out. And I feel like your spirit guides want you to know they were not at all worthy of you, but they don't even matter right now. What matters right now is you remember and reflect on what are all the good parts of you. Because I think that this breakup is really bringing out a lot of insecurity in you and feelings of, was I not good enough? Or am I not worthy? Or, why didn't they want me? That doesn't matter. They don't matter. They could have their own reasons. Whatever it was, like, truly, I could not give less of a fuck about this person. Like, in my mind, they are so beneath you. What your spirit guides are trying to show you right now is how much you are worthy of love, how much you are worthy of praise, and how much love you have to give. I can't even put into words, but I think spirit really wants you to look within. And this might sound silly, but I want you to write down in like a journal or speak aloud to yourself, what are 5 things that are worth loving about you? What are 5 things that, things that you do for others, things that are just great about you? What I'm picturing in my mind right now is somebody with such a beautiful smile and with such a bubbly laugh. And the words that literally just came to mind is, don't let this person take that away from you. Don't let them make you feel like you need to hide parts of yourself. Don't let them make you feel like you need to cover up parts of yourself. Or maybe this person made you feel insecure about your body, and so now you feel like you need to dress differently. Or maybe they put you down for like your laugh or your smile, or they told you certain things, and now you feel like, I need to cover that up, or I can't do that as much. Fuck them. Like, oh my god, like, I'm actually getting so pissed off at this person. Somebody that would say those kinds of things, first of all, is not worthy of your love, your time, or your energy. First of all. Now, that could just be for some of you. For others of you, maybe this person didn't say those things, and I hope they didn't. But I think what Spirit really wants you to reflect on is just how much of an amazing person you are. You are literally showing up as the Queen of Pentacles. And when I see the Queen of Pentacles, I think of somebody who is so abundant with love and time and energy to give. They're always giving. I think you're an extremely giving person. I think you're somebody that is so innately good at giving comfort to others. You might be like an earth sign or a water sign. Because the Queen of Pentacles just makes me think of somebody that they're the kind of person that radiates comfort and love and warm energy to the point that if I imagine them just sitting in a forest, like they would radiate such good energy that you'd see like animals coming out just to be closer to them, which is crazy because usually animals are like scared of humans, but I feel like it's such a pure, loving energy that it attracts other pure, loving, good energy. But the thing about that kind of energy is when you give it off, it also attracts negative people who want to leech off of it. And I feel like this was the kind of person that took you for granted, and they wanted to shine in your light. They wanted to take up your space and take your energy, and it ended up taking away some of that light from you. I'm almost imagining the movie Maleficent. I don't know if you ever watched it, but it's like, I think in the first movie, they showed the backstory of how Maleficent was like this beautiful fairy creature, and she had these beautiful wings, and then there was this like human man who like came in and stole her wings, and like she ended up, her heart was filled with so much pain and rage that she like became the villain in their eyes. And whatever, I'm Team Maleficent. She's not a villain in my eyes. But like, I feel like that's you right now, as you were this beautiful, loving creature with so much love to give, and now you have this huge scar, this place where this person took from you and they hurt you. And now it just feels like darkness. And I feel like the universe and your spirit guides are trying to remind you how much beauty you have inside and out. Try to remember that. Remember how much you deserve to shine, because I feel like this person took away your shine. They took away your light, but they can't take away the source. I feel like it's made you think that you can't ever go back to that, or you're never going to shine again. What I want to say is that source is still within you. It might be a little bit blocked. It might feel a little bit lost, but that person can never truly take away who you are. They can never take away all the amazing aspects of you. And what Spirit wants you to do is remember who the fuck you are. Like, stand up, remember who you are. You are deserving of so much, and you deserve to stand up and feel pride for who you are. Now up next we have Fear and the Four of Pentacles. I feel like this breakup, this person leaving, has brought out a lot of different fears in you. I think there's fears of abandonment, fears of being taken for granted, extreme trust issues. And something I'm going to tell you right now is I kind of talked a little bit about my past relationships, right? Where, the feeling of betrayal and like the feelings of sickness afterwards, like physical sickness. But something that those also left me was a lot of trust issues. And, I'm in a beautiful relationship now, where thank God those breakups happened so that I could find this amazing woman that I'm with now. We've been together almost 3 years, and she's my best friend. And I swear we are going to get married one day and have so many kids. Just kidding, probably only 2. But first of all, that's like one point. It's like, without those breakups, without those wrong people along the way, I never would have found her. I never would have found my soulmate. And your soulmate is out there. This person is not your soulmate. I can tell that just from the cards. Like, the way that your spirit guides are talking about this person, please, this is not your soulmate. But something else is, what I'm seeing for you right now is this is leaving you with a lot of wounds and a lot of insecurity. And I think, first of all, you're going to need to mourn. You're going to need to cry it out. You're going to feel empty for a while. After one of my breakups, I cried for like a year straight before I got into another relationship. But to be honest, it was my first relationship, okay? Like, I was allowed to cry for that long. But what I'll tell you is eventually there's going to come a point where you're going to need to do some real work to overcome and push past these insecurities and these fears, because it's more of like a future warning where if you can't do this, I feel like you will close yourself off to letting people in. I feel like you're going to put up some huge boundaries, and boundaries are good. Boundaries can be healthy, but it's unhealthy if you never let anybody in, and if you can't trust, and if you can't let love in. I feel like you are somebody so deserving of being loved and having love in your life, but when that right person comes along, you want to be ready for it. And so what I'll say is, for some of you, therapy might be the right answer, working with the right therapist. I know how hard it is to find the right therapist. It's a pain in the ass. I've tried so many times. I've gotten some of the wackest therapists you would ever believe, like some real crazy ones. But it's worth it if you want to try to look for that, especially if you feel like you can't work on these issues yourself, or if you don't have all the tools. Some other things I'll recommend, there are great podcasts out there. There's one where he doesn't go super in-depth all the time. His name is Dr. John Deloney. He's on YouTube. You can find him. He's got amazing stories on there. Basically, people call in and he gives them advice, and it's usually 15 to 20 minute long videos, so they're relatively short, and it's all different kinds of topics, from like women going through miscarriages to losing a child, arguments with families, divorce, being in extreme amounts of debt. What I'll tell you is there's bound to be stories in there going through what you're going through. And I feel like you hearing other people talking about those kinds of things and hearing the advice that he gives could be extremely comforting to you. First of all, it'll make you not feel so alone. It'll make you feel heard, make you feel understood. And it'll also feel like somebody's giving you advice, even though it's not directly to you. I'll also recommend searching out books on the specific things that you're going through. You are not the first person in the world to go through a breakup. And I don't belittle that. Breakups are extremely hard, and I think they're actually a lot harder than a lot of people give us credit for. A lot of times people will say, oh, it's just another breakup. Everybody goes through those. I swear those are happening all the time. But these can be some of the worst things that we go through because you are quite literally mourning a person that's still alive. You're mourning a relationship, and you're mourning the old version of yourself and also the future version of yourself that you thought you would be, the life that you thought you would have with this person, or what the future would look like with this person. Now you have to mourn all of that at once and scrape yourself up off the ground, and on top of that, there's probably other people around you being like, you just need to get over it, get under somebody else, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, that's not what I need right now. What I need right now is to cry and like also a bottle of vodka, which I'm not advocating for drinking, but what I will say, back to the main point, is I feel like this is going to bring up a lot of fears, a lot of insecurities, a lot of pain, and a lot of trust issues for you. And you don't need to tackle it right away, but I think you need to remain cognizant of it moving forward, that if this goes unhealed, it's going to close you off to a lot of amazing opportunities, amazing relationships. And so not right now, when you feel like you're in a better place, I want you to look into, like I said, those YouTube videos or podcasts, talk to a therapist if you can, or read some books up on what you're going through. There are a lot of books on psychology, amazing books. I wish I could recommend some right now, but my brain is kind of fried right now. But I promise you there's a lot of great resources online, and what you're going through is not unhealable. It is healable. But I feel like your body's first reaction is, how do I put up the biggest wall possible to never go through this again? And some walls are good. Recognizing when people are giving you BS, when people are not to be trusted, that's great. But not letting in anybody, that can be a little bit of an issue. So finally, what we have here is the card that I said was kind of funny in the beginning. So the cards that we have here are the Sadness card and the Page of Wands reversed. And what I think about this that's so funny is when I look at the Page of Wands reversed, the thing about tarot, if you don't know a lot about tarot, is there's court cards. There's the King, which is like the eldest or whatever. There's the Queen right below that. There's the Knight. And then at the bottom of that, there's the Page. And the pages often symbolize like people, like either physical children or extremely childlike people. And if a page is reversed, it's even more so, even more immature, even more childish. And so your spirit guides are literally portraying to me, not just any page, but the Page of Wands, which usually symbolizes like a fuckboy or somebody that's like a player. And with it being reversed, I just see like disgust in the eyes of your spirit guides, which I don't even know if spirit guides have eyes, but like personifying them in my mind, I just see like somebody who's like, ugh. This guy, this slime ball, like they truly are like, girl, not that you're a girl necessarily, but like they're like, girl, you could do so much better. This person was just not it. Like this person, they were not worthy. They were not wifey or husband material. This was not somebody that, they're not it. Like, ugh. Like I feel like your spirit guides have the ick from this person so bad right now. And with the Sadness card, it's like they see you crying over this person. They just want to remind you, like, something that happens when we go through breakups is we put on rose-tinted glasses and all we think about are the good times. We think about like, oh, but remember how they used to hold me? Or remember all the nice things that they would say? Remember our first kiss? Like those things are going to stand out to you because those are great things. And once you lose something, all you can think about are all of the good times. Spirit is like, okay, let's really shine a light on everything they did wrong. Remember that time that they were like texting that person behind your back? Or remember that time that they said this thing that really hurt you? Or remember when they like didn't hold the door for you? Or like all those little red flags that went off that made you think like, maybe there's something up with this person. Now, they're not saying it's not okay to cry and be emotional. You're perfectly valid. But they also want you to be like, hey, wake up a little bit. Like, this was not the perfect Prince Charming or Princess Charming. This was not the perfect person. This was a slime ball. And yeah, they broke your heart. Maybe they were attractive, but in the long term, they're not worth it. They're not worth crying over. They're not worth begging on your knees. They're not worth XYZ. You are worth it. You are worth standing up for. You are worth protecting, and you are worth loving and caring for. So That's the part that I was laughing about, because like in your spirit guide's eyes, like they're just like, ugh, brother, ugh, like they do not like this person. And you know what? If they don't like them, there's probably a good reason. So, pile 2, I know I've been ranting at you for a while, but that is everything that I have for you. I truly wish you the best. I hope that this healing goes well for you. It's gonna take time. Trust me, as a Cancer sun with an Aries rising and an Aries moon, and more of those same placements everywhere, breakups are extremely hard for me. Like I am like a wet noodle on the ground. Like when I tell you I cried for a year straight, like I cried every day for a year straight over a girl that like was not worth it. Truly was not worth it. I think she's married now, and like I truly don't give a fuck anymore, which is crazy. Like I literally commented like, "Oh my god, congrats." Like we get over these things. Like you're going to get over it. I feel like an older sister talking to you and being like, "Hey, these kind of things happen, but trust me, in the moment, I know that gut-wrenching feeling. You're allowed to feel that way, and you're allowed to feel that way for as long as you want. But when it's time to pick up the pieces, like I said, there were those recommendations there, different sources that you can go to. Healing is going to take a long time. A relationship might only be a few months, but the pain and the heartbreak that comes after that can leave scars on us that stay for years and years. But they're not impossible to heal as long as you want to heal them. So, pile 2, that is where I'm going to leave you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Alright, pile 3, last but certainly not least. If you chose the Angelite, then this is the reading for you. Now, I want to start off by saying that just looking at your cards for a moment here, I can already tell that this is going to be very vague, because I think it's meant for a very general audience. I think that as I go along, there will be some ideas of like specifics that this could be about, and I'll bring those up here and there, but keep in mind, like, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So, starting off, you have the Magic card clarified by the Hermit reversed and the Six of Wands reversed. When I first saw this, the exact sentence that came to mind was like, unable to stand on your own 2 feet, like lacking confidence, unable to stand in confidence of like making your own decisions and going about things on your own. And with the Magic card, I feel like you are really entering into a new chapter of your life. For some of you, you could be moving out of your parents' home finally. For others, maybe you're older. Maybe you've gone through a divorce and like you're finally alone for once in like the past decade or 2 decades, and you need to see what life is like on your own. You're no longer a part of a partnership. Or maybe for others, you're leaving behind a job to pursue entrepreneurship. And like you've always worked under somebody else. You've always worked as a part of a team, but now you're an individual. And that's the same common thread that I see for all of you, is you are finally standing on your own 2 feet, whether it's your decision or you're being forced into it. And I feel like a lot of you don't have confidence yet in what this means. I think you feel scared and alone, and what you don't yet see that I feel like your spirit guides are trying to show you with the Magic card is how much this next chapter of your life has to offer. It's almost like you've been living in darkness your whole life and you're like, I'm content, this is comfortable. And then the light turns on and like all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, I'm blind. It's like somebody just flashbanged me and like now you can't see and you feel like you're running in circles and you're like, oh man, now there's so many different directions to go in that I never saw because I had always been in darkness before, and now I'm extremely uncomfortable because it's on me what decision to make. And the universe is like, hey, if you take a minute to slow down, you can see what a blessing this light is. You can see what a blessing it is to have opportunities available to you. The blessing of freedom of what you choose to do with your life, of what direction to go in. I feel like there is so much positivity that this new chapter is bringing to you. But right now you're like running around like a headless chicken. Like I feel like you're terrified and you don't know what direction to go in. You don't know to trust your own decisions. I feel like for you were somebody that you always defaulted to somebody else's decision making. Like, for example, this is kind of like a lame example, but like, I'm imagining people that can't, like, okay, for example, children are allowed to stay on their parents' medical insurance until the age 25 or something in America. And so you see, even at like, I'm 21, I go to the doctor on my own now, but at 21, 22, 23, there's some people that still can't go to the doctor without their parents. Like, those are grown-ass adults. They should be able to do it on their own, but they're still like, I'm not saying it's bad to be on your parents' insurance. I'm still on my parents' insurance. I'm only 21. But not being able to stand on your own 2 feet, ask your own questions, have a dialogue with another adult on your own, make your own decisions without defaulting to, but I'm not sure, or maybe we should ask somebody else. Like, no, it's your life, your decision making. What decision do you want to make? Make it, and make it final. I feel like something that you are doing a lot right now is, when I look at this Two of Swords, this is somebody that's unable to make a decision. I feel like you're waiting for somebody else to choose for you. Or if you're going back and forth between two things, you're like, I'll just put it up to like a coin toss, or I'll wait for one thing to be chosen for me. And it's like, no. Your spirit guides are kind of like pushing you out of the nest and being like, you need to learn to find peace and confidence in your own decision making. And what direction do you want to take your life in? And decisions as small as like, are we going to buy this brand or are we going to buy this brand? Are we going to shop here or are we going to shop here? Are we going to live in this neighborhood or this neighborhood? And it needs to be your decision. I feel like especially if you've just gotten out of a very codependent relationship, something where you've always defaulted to like, oh, well, what do you want to do? Or, what do you think we should do? And just kind of letting them steer the ship. And it's like, now the wheel is put in your hands and there's nobody else on the ship with you. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. You know what to do. It's going to be scary and you're going to feel like you're not making the right decision. And I feel like more than anything, you're scared of the consequences. But I think you need to make peace with the fact that you're going to fall down here and there. It's not all going to be smooth sailing. Nobody is able to go into the world knowing exactly everything they need to do. Everybody fails along the way. Everybody has mistakes along the way, and that's okay. I feel like in today's day and age, especially with the internet, people put up these facades of seeming perfect or seeming like they don't have bad days or seeming like they don't get stressed out or like they don't make bad decisions. And the truth is, everybody is making bad decisions every day. Like, everybody's always making mistakes, and that's okay. And I feel like now you're put in this position of authority or put on your own 2 feet and been told like, all right, go out, tackle the world. And you're like, oh God, I'm terrified of making a mistake. What if I fall down? You know what happens if you fall down? You choose to get back up again. You choose to keep going. You choose to brush things off, even if maybe it's a little embarrassing. Maybe you have to learn some things along the way. I'm almost imagining, like, there's that trope in media where there's, like, an alien that comes to live on Earth and they don't really know the language, and so they have, like, a bunch of, like, they say a bunch of funny things that don't make any sense, or, like, they do things wrong, like, I don't know, eating a hot dog sideways or something. I don't know, like, just random things like that, and I feel like that's you. Maybe you're quite literally moving to a new area, like a new country, and you're, like, kind of making some mistakes with customs and you're like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, or is this culturally appropriate, or XYZ. And what spirit wants you to tell is they just want to tell you, chill out. Like, laughingly so. They're like, come on, it's okay. Calm down. Take a deep breath. Don't overthink things so much. I think, honestly, I would recommend, if you have the ability to do so, go to a therapist, because it could be that there is some sort of undiagnosed issue. I'm not going to diagnose you, but I would say that to constantly have these kinds of fears about everyday life, if that's you, if you're having constant fears about everyday life, I would say maybe talk to a professional or talk to somebody else, because that's a lot to shoulder on your own. That's a lot to go through daily and to constantly feel like that. But if it's not a daily thing that persists for a long time, and this is just like you reacting to a new environment, that's perfectly normal. It's okay to be afraid, but trying to completely avoid mistakes altogether is impossible. You can't just avoid things like that. That's like trying to avoid life. We're all gonna make mistakes. We're all gonna have mishaps. We're all gonna feel embarrassed from time to time, but you can't let that stop you from moving forward, and especially decision making. I feel like anytime there's a fork in the road, it's like you have this battle inside you of like, oh my God, I don't know which way to go. It's okay if you choose the wrong way. Actually, there's no wrong way. Even if one way ends up being a dead end, it's like, all right, just turn around. Let's go back the other way. Apparently the other way was the right way to go. Or, if we say the wrong thing and people call us out on it, be like, you know what? That's my bad. I thought that was the right way at the time, but apparently it's not. In the future, I'll remember that. Sometimes that's just what it looks like, especially like if you're starting out a new job or something like that. There's going to be a learning curve. There's a learning curve to everything, especially life. And you know what? It can be scary, and it can make you real tired, but I promise you, you're going to get through it. And every mistake, every mishap, every little piece of embarrassment, it builds us up so that we never do that again. It's like, you touch a hot stove, you burn your hand. Okay, we're not going to touch the stove again. But sometimes you need to touch the stove a few times, and that's all right. Finally, with the movement card and the Page of Cups and the Page of Pentacles reversed, what I see for you is there's a lot of new moving pieces. There's a lot of new things coming at you, maybe new people. Like, I'm almost imagining maybe some of you've always lived at home and you've always been very dependent on your parents, but now you're going to college in a completely different state and you're fully on your own. Now you're in this dorm room where you're having to share a room with a stranger and you don't know if you guys are going to get along or not. And there's this whole room or this whole building of people that you suddenly have to meet, and like, should I go to this event or should I go to this event? And what about my classes? How am I going to get around? Or, oh my God, I missed my bus in the first place. Oh my gosh. It's okay. I promise you, you're going to figure it out, especially if it's the first week of this newness or the first month. It's going to take time to get into the flow of things, but you will get into the flow of things. And before you know it, this is going to be the new normal. You're going to get used to things. You're going to get into the schedule. You're not going to miss the bus anymore. You're going to get used to your roommate, even if they're a little weird. You're going to make friends. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. And I know it's scary because it's not what you're used to. And I feel like maybe when I look at this Page of Cups, I'm imagining somebody that just wants to like talk to somebody else or like constantly call home or be like, I'm not so sure about this, or asking for advice. And what I want to tell you is, with this Page of Pentacles reversed, it's like once you can realize the good aspects of what this future holds for you, once you can see the positivity, this fear will start to melt away. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you start looking at like, what are some things that you can look forward to? For example, if we go with the college aspects, are there any clubs that you're really going to look forward to joining? Like, are there any interests that you're super into and it's like, oh my God, there's a club for that? Or are there things in this new town that you live in that you really want to explore? Or is there this coffee shop that you're really going to love to study at? Or are there courses that you're really looking forward to taking? Or new experiences, XYZ, or a new friend group that you're looking forward to meeting? Once you can have things to look forward to, when you can get out of your shell a little bit and start looking forward to things, all that fear is going to melt away. You're going to start calling home less. You're going to start having to rely on other people less. You're going to start relying on yourself, standing on your own 2 feet and being excited about what the future holds for you. And I truly believe there is so much fun and excitement that this new chapter of your life holds. I think that you haven't yet been able to look at it because you've been too busy looking in the rearview mirror and fixating on the past and like, oh man, I wish I could just go back to the comfort and the safety of home. Trust me, this newfound freedom, this new adventure that you're on, there's so much good that's going to come out of it. There's so many good memories that truly you're going to turn into a version of yourself that is so happy to have freedom, so confident standing on your own 2 feet, and you're going to love life. I truly think like a year from now, life is going to look so much different and you're going to love every aspect of it. And you're going to be like, God, remember when I wanted to go back home? Now that's the last thing that I want. Now I haven't visited home in like 6 months because all I want to do is just party and have fun and hang out with my friends. So, I know that's a specific example. Maybe you're not going off to college. Maybe you're an adult. Or maybe you're younger than that. But whatever it is, trust me, this new chapter, your spirit guides are so excited for you. And all they're waiting for is for you to get excited too. But it's going to take some confidence. You're going to have to take your hands off your eyes and allow yourself to look forward. So, pile 3, that is everything that I have for you. I truly wish you the best. I think that you have a lot to be excited for. I know you're scared right now, but I promise you, it's going to be a great year or great next few months. Like, this newfound freedom, you're going to be so grateful for it. So, pile 3, that's everything that I have. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.